Hello, I'm Ryan Weistub, and I'm here to talk to you today about what my goals are and where I want to be in 5 years. Basically, I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to get there, to achieve my goal, why I want to be there, where I want to be, as far as, geographically, and then when do I expect to be there. In the ability to obtain this, in the how portion of this, basically, I think it's important that I complete a, bachelor's degree in business management with a human resource focus. And then do continual study and research in the HR field and the different discourse communities that are linked to these fields. Some of them, for instance, recruitment, benefits, retirements, the laws that go into the human resources, equal opportunity, and counseling. These are all important factors of the HR community, for instance. And I think it's important that, a person that's going to go into this field, such as myself, it's important that we understand, these other communities and research them so we know how they intertwine into the big community of human resources. Why do I want to be there? Well, when I was in the Navy for 3 years, I was a naval recruiter, and I really enjoyed working with people and helping them out in their careers. And in doing so, I was one of the top recruiters, so it showed that I enjoyed it, and I really wanted to apply that to the civilian world. So that's why I want to do it. I get the enjoyment of seeing other people's successes. Where would I like to be? Well, I'd like to stay in Texas. One reason is the state of Texas is one of the strongest states that holds the economy well in these current times of recession. And then on top of that, I currently, I used to work for the government, but, looking at the difficulties that the government's having, I'd like to focus more on reaching the civilian sector, of the human resource market, just to explore new territories and see where that might lead me. Some of the activities that I'm currently employing to make myself successful to reach this goal is, one, I'm networking, and in doing so, I'll do site visits with various companies and meet their human resource specialists and their managers if possible, and just ask them questions and let them know who I am and that I exist, and basically what I'm trying to achieve. Another thing that I do is I do research. I do, a significant amount of reading into the HR community and all the things that are linked to it, and just the lessons learned, and, the experiences that others have had, and the successes, and just try to put that into my, toolbox so I can later, utilize those experiences. And another thing is writing. Through my naval career, first off, as a recruiter, I had to process a lot of, applications, a lot of waivers, a lot of recommendations. And so that was, one of the starts to strengthening, my writing, and, being able to write things in such a way that, my superiors would accept these applicants, applications. And then, becoming a, higher ranked leader within the Navy, I was forced to, learn more writing skills, to write evaluations for, the troops that were below me. And, in doing so, that has definitely strengthened my writing. Since being in college, I've learned a lot about, writing, and just, how I can apply the things that I've already learned, plus the things that I have learned in the past, and taking those ideas and putting them together and just making myself a better writer and the ability to be successful in the HR community. Another thing that I also think is important is job shadowing, following other people within the career field and just watching and observing, and seeing what their day-to-day tasks are, asking questions, as appropriate, to find out why they do certain things that they do and the importance of that, so that, I can take that back also. And in doing so, definitely take notes so that you can go back later and reflect on those things. Another important thing is, interviewing various people within the field and soliciting information from them. I think it's important, if you are willing to listen to what they have to say and you have a genuine interest within what they do, oftentimes people will open up and give you a lot of valuable information that you wouldn't have necessarily thought about, and so I think that's important. Mentorship, I think it's very important, in any career field, the one that I'm going into, human resource management, so obviously I look for mentors in the human resource management field, and currently I have a couple of those, and that I can ask them any kind of questions, or if I read something that didn't quite make sense to me in my research, I can ask them a real-time application and how they apply that to their work field. I'm going to share a couple of pieces of evidence that I currently use to help me in these activities. So I'm going to step over here to the table. Okay, so this is one of the websites that I often visit. It's called Human Resource Executive Online, or HRE Online. And this is a really helpful website because you can just go back and look at all the past, articles that they have written and all the current articles that they have written. And, it's a one-stop shop for people that are in the HR community. And you can also, develop like channels to talk with other human resource folks in this community. You can look at, the law that we talked about previously, the benefits, leadership, technology, and talent management. Later, I'm going to talk about, some of the things that I believe are going to make me successful in achieving some of these things, and I'll just go ahead and show them to you now. This is a website called vetsuccess.gov. It's put on by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. This is a good avenue to help find employment. That's one resource. Another resource is the Texas Veterans Commission. Another good source, for employment needs. Another one is the Texas Workforce Commission, and this isn't specifically for vets, but this is another good website, to help, find employment. And then another one, for example, is the Headhunters. Bradley Morris, for example, is very military friendly. And I have even used them in the past where they've, pretty much, offered me jobs based on my past skill levels. And so it's, another resource that I can use. Going back to the activities, this is another resource. This is just a, portfolio of business cards of people that I've networked with. And, again, this is just one of them. This is very important in networking, making notes to yourself and being able to go back and contact these people, for future reference. All right, now that we've visited the evidences of, the activities that will make me successful, let's talk about self-assessment. Currently, as far as grading myself, I'd have to say that I'm at the, A level, whatever scale. If we're grading out of 10, I would say I'm a 9. The reason why I don't give myself a 10 is because I always believe that there's room for improvement and to grow. So I think we have to be harder on ourselves. If we ever think that, hey, we've arrived and we've got everything figured out, I think that becomes dangerous, because then we're not new to learning, new ideas and things. And so, I think I've done a lot of the necessary things that will make me successful in achieving these goals of being a human resource manager. But however, I understand that it's a continuous learning objective, and you just can't, say, I know it all. What's made me successful in being able to give myself a grade of A is, through my past life experiences, in the Navy, serving 20 years, with the Navy, and just the experiences alone that I've gotten with dealing with people, being able to develop those people skills, communication skills with these folks that I've worked with, and then just writing skills. If I'm not able to write in a way that's effective to represent the person that I'm writing about, well, then they're not going to be competitive in their career promotions, and I thought that was very important. As far as my college experiences, obviously I want to continue on my writing skills. I enjoy taking, constructive criticism from my professors, on my writing, and I, take notes and I apply those so I can make myself a better writer. I enjoy researching and just learning new avenues to research, and especially in this year in the Composition 2 course, I've learned a lot more about research and how to obtain the necessary research to write the subjects that I'm going to write about. Interviewing people is important still, even asking people at the college, and asking their opinions, or in different job sites. Again, job shadowing and mentorship. Those are all things that I'm going to continuously apply, while still going to college. As far as my career life plan, in my opinion, to have a successful career, it takes a balance, okay? And first and foremost, in my opinion, you have to put God first, so, putting God first in my life, everything else, comes. And, you have to be able to balance your family. You can't ignore your family, because your family is what supports you in your career. And, as far as the job, you have to be committed to your job. You have to have integrity. You have to be trustworthy, and you have to be reliable. And those are all skills that when a person looks at my resume and says, oh, here's a retired Navy guy that served his country honorably, those things are already unspoken to them. They already understand that I have these attributes, or they expect that I have those attributes, because I've served my country honorably. And, for example, when you fill out a resume for McDonald's, it never asks if you were a congressman or a senator or a mayor, but it does ask you if you ever served in the military and were you discharged honorably or dishonorably. And so that holds a lot of weight, in these communities. And people are willing to take a gamble. A lot of times, people want to hire somebody they know, but sometimes being a military veteran and an honorably discharged veteran, it opens up some new windows that people are willing to take a gamble just on that alone without even knowing you. And like I was talking about earlier, it's very important to maximize your resources. Those websites I showed you, from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the Texas Veterans Commission, the Texas Workforce Commission, and the headhunters like Bradley Morris. It's very important that you don't limit your resources, that you just maximize as many avenues as you can, and get yourself known, let people know what you're about, and what you're willing to do. So I appreciate your time, and again, I look forward to being in the human resource management field within the next 5 years, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.